And hello everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to episode 31 of the Druids Dozen. Yeah, I took a couple of weeks off over Christmas and New Year, did some other stuff relating to my band Alien Stashed In. They're going to be in my playlist somewhere. But I'm back with another dozen albums plucked from my record racks and waved in front of the camera. Yeah, so my name's John. I'm known in certain circles as the Rock Druid. I'm a DJ, do a couple of radio shows on BCFM in Bristol, where I do the Sunday Rock Show, and on astroradio.earth, where I do the Rock Druid Show. All kinds of rock and metal, etc. Anyway, yeah, 12 albums I'm going to wave in front of you and talk about for a bit. Going to kick off with this from one of my favourite rock and roll ladies. From 1981, is it? That's the one? I think it's 81. Anyway, Suzi Quatro's Rock Hard. There's the front. There is the back. Slip this out. Suzi and band there. Suzi in action there. 1980, sorry, Dreamland Records. There's the inner sleeve. Now, this is probably one of the last of the sort of classic Suzi Quatro period albums. Came out on the just after Suzi and Other Four-Letter Words, which contained what is it? She's in Love With You, which was her last really big UK hit. And then it kind of entered a period which I like to call the wilderness years, where, you know, a lot of her stuff was dabbling in kind of more poppy material, which didn't really turn me on. But this album here, I like to look upon as her last classic album, although she's done some really good stuff since, I hasten to add. Doesn't contain any massive hit singles. There's the title track Rock Hard, I think dented the top end of the UK top 60, and I think there was another one off this album that again was a very, very minor hit. But, you know, who cares about hit singles? This is probably one of her strongest albums overall. Opening up with the classic the title track, one of her kind of real kind of headbangy rock and rollers. Then there's Glad All Over, which was Dave Clark 5's song originally, and then it just goes on from there. Favourite cuts on here, there's Hard-Headed, Ego in the Night, which are two of her heaviest ever tracks. The Plaintiff, Lonely is the Hardest, which is a song about being lonely on the road when you're in a band, you know, sort of hotel rooms and you're missing your family, etc. The kind of almost like a funky Lipstick. Every track on here is excellent. It's with a standard band, Len Tuckley, John Cropston and Dave Neal backing her up. Mike Chapman production. Everything you want from a classic Suzi Quatro album. It's a belter, it's a winner, and it's one I recommend for everybody. 1980s, Rock Hard by Suzi Quatro. Okay, next up, we're going to go a bit metal. I'll tell you a bit more modern. Here we go. This is Edge of Attack, the debut album by Edge of Attack, Canadian power metal merchants. So there's the front. Pictures of a not like sailing ship wrecking in a sea of lava. I don't know. There's the back with the track listing. Pop this open. Whoop. There is a picture of Edge of Attack themselves. There's the back of the thing. Spread the Metal Records. This was on. There's the disc, and in here, as quite often I get with these, woo and yay, it's the press release. Yeah, it came out February 2. There's the press release there. Came out February 2013. This. Now, Edge of Attack, they're out of Alberta in Canada. And as I said, they're very much a sort of like power metal band. Maybe a bit thrashy in places, but it's definitely metal with a capital wahey. You know, it's and this is a pretty good album. They've done a couple since, which are equally just as good, but this is their debut, 2013, and it's one that I come back to for personal listening pleasure. Cuts like In Hell, Demon of the Northern Seas, Take Me Alive in the Night, their title track, Edge of Attack, Set the World Aflame. You know, every track on here is a bit of a belter. Working with a number of guest vocalists, and sort of like guests appearing on the album as well. It's corking. The guitars are shit hot. The female vocals wail like a banshee. Rhythm section, I keep saying it, but the rhythm section like a particular duck's anus. And yeah, just a really good album. I don't know whether this is still available on physical format. I know you can probably get it digitally via the band, because the band is still going. They've had a couple more albums out. Most recently in 2018, they brought out a new album, which I just recently got my hands on. I haven't had a chance to listen to yet, but yeah. But overall, band that I like, one of these kind of cult underground bands that everybody should get into from time to time. Yeah, Edge of Attack by Edge of Attack, 2013. Good stuff. Okay, next up we have an album that divides me. Straight down the middle. There we go. This is Onslaught's 1988 album, In Search of Sanity. There's the front. There's the back. If I slide this out, there's that particular Onslaught lineup, and its lyrics, album credits, yeah, all sorts of stuff on here. Now, 1986-87, Onslaught released an album called The False. Not just me saying this, it's kind of hailed as one of the greatest thrash metal albums of all time. It's the one that kind of put UK and European thrash on the map. It's an incredible piece of work. And it seemed, with the hype on that, Onslaught should have been, you know, should have been a band catapulted into Metallica, Anthrax, Slayer type kind of, you know, standards of stellar kind ofness. Now, at the time, I still do know Onslaught quite well personally, but at the time, the band I was in was a band called Covenant. Don't look for us, we were really obscure. I did a couple of demos. We shared rehearsal space with Onslaught, and you know, quite often we'll be going into the studio as they'll be knocking down, or you know, we'll be knocking down as they were going in to kind of rehearse. And you know, quite often we knew the guys quite well. We used to go out for a few beers with them and that kind of thing. And when they did the False tour, we did a couple of dates, because you know, they were mates. They were giving sort of various bands they knew kind of a, you know, sort of like half-hour stage time. And well, they finished the False tour after sort of like going all over the world. Came back and started working on what became this album. There was a couple of lineup changes. Paul Mahoney on bass was replaced by the rather talented Jimmy Hindler, and a guy called Rob Trotman came in to replace Jay Stallard on rhythm guitar. And they started putting this album together, and you know, it was sounding pretty damn sweet. I'll give it that. Then the record, they changed record labels. London Records came in, major record deal, the first European thrash band to get a major deal, and well, that's when the record company started interfering. First thing they did was they didn't like vocalist Cy Keeler. Now, fatal mistake, and I'm not just saying this because Cy is a mate of mine and really nice guy. Cy Keeler has got one of the most distinctive voices you'll come across. I mean, he's in King Diamond levels of kind of uniqueness in his vocal style, and but you know, is obviously wasn't deemed to be accessible enough because he kind of grunts and screams a lot. It wasn't seen to be acceptable enough for a commercial band, so pressure was put on to replace him, and basically after some internal disputes he was pushed out, and they got in a guy called Steve Grimmett, ex-Grim Reaper vocalist in. Now, I have nothing against Steve Grimmett. I've met the guy, I know the guy, not well, but I know the guy to sort of say hello to. He's a lovely guy and he's a great vocalist, but he is not Onslaught. He is not Cy Keeler. And you know, when the band's reputation is forged on an album like The False, replacing the distinctive vocals with someone that's a generic heavy metal vocalist, albeit a very good one, isn't going to work. Then you've got the production. I can't remember who produced the False, but this was done by a guy called Steve Gillias, and it seems to be kind of produced aimed primarily at an American radio friendly market. The result is songs that when I saw them rehearsing, being recorded or being demoed and sort of worked up in their original format, by the time this album came out, just sound like damn squids going off in a massive empty warehouse. It's like poof, rather than the detonation that Onslaught used to have. The material is very good. You know, Blood on the Ice, Welcome to Dying, Power Play, Shell Shock, Let There Be War, great. However, you know, there is their kind of big hit single, which was their cover of AC/DC's Let There Be Rock. Again, the original single version had a Cy Keeler vocal on it. This has got a Steve Grimmett vocal on it. No disrespect to Steve, but it's just not Onslaught. It sounds like a kind of it makes it basically the band sound like an Earthstack Grim Reaper or on a Slayer kick. Yeah, as an album it don't work. Not surprising the band kind of fell apart not long after this came out, and it took them about 10 years to get their act together with Cy Keeler to come back. Shame. This album could have, if it had been done with a proper lineup with Keeler involved, this album I'm sure could have, and actually a producer that knew what it was doing could have done huge things with this record. But sadly, all it is a question. It leaves questions of what might have been. Disappointing. Worth getting for the interest, but you know, there are better Onslaught albums out there. Yeah, Onslaught's In Search of Sanity, 1988. And if you're an Onslaught fan and you like that album, feel free to disagree with me. Tell me where I'm wrong. Okay, next up we're going to have something a little bit strange. Here we go. This is Solo Bass Guitar by Ossur Johnessen. Released in, I'm not sure when. Anyway, there's the front. 2007, I think. I'll check in a minute. There's the back. Pop this open. No, it doesn't say. Oh, it was recorded in 1996, so maybe it was released a bit before, you know, around about then, so it's earlier than I thought it was. Signed from Ossur himself. And yes, there's the disc there. Now, Ossur Johnessen is one of those strange maverick tour de force musicians that, you know, make the world of music a very, very interesting place. The guy's from Thorshavn in the Faroe Islands, although he has worked out of Denmark, Copenhagen in Denmark for a bit, but spends most of his time in the Faroe Islands. He plays bass guitar, and that's it. Well, he does work with a couple of other people sometimes on some other projects, but primarily it's Ossur, a bass guitar with some loop pedals, and yeah, he just plays with himself, making these fantastic bass soundscapes. Maybe not the easiest listening, but if you're into the kind of avant-garde experimentalism, you know, this guy is pretty damn good. This album, I just fancy doing one of his albums. I've got about 5 or 6 of his releases. He brings them out every few years, and this is one that, you know, partly I've grabbed at random, but it's just cool. You know, it's a trippy, laid-back kind of, I've said not the easiest of listens, but it can take you places. Cuts on here like The Mystery of Death. Got like rumbling riffs to it, and the kind of the Tea Lady, A Blessed Soul, Endless Pain, Out of Control. It keeps knocking on. The title track, sorry, not title track, is it? Teal Flame. It's just it's weird, but it's highly engaging. And you know, Ossur Johnessen himself as a bass player is a bit of a genius. I mean, if you ever want to join a full-blown prog rock band, he could out Billy Sheehan. So you know, or you know, Billy Sherwood. Sorry, getting my Billy Essie American bass players mixed up. But anyway, Ossur Johnessen, from about 1996, 1997, solo bass guitar. Really, really good stuff. Okay, next up, let's have a bit of new over British heavy metal. And there we are. There's the front. This is from 1983 or 84, one of the two. Anyway, I'm looking on the label in the middle. It's Don't Get Mad, Get Even by Samson. There's the front. There's the back. Aeroplane spotters will recognise a B-29 Super Fortress. Pull this out. And we have, like I mentioned these before, there's the original merch sheet. There. Yeah, 1984, Polydor Records, there's the disc. I'll slide this back. And whip this out. Lyric sheet. Pictures of Samson. There we are. Now, this probably is my favourite Samson album. Overall, you know, people may disagree with me, but I've always, well, feel free, it's just my personal opinion, I've always preferred Samson with Nicky Moore on vocals than I do with the Bruce Dickinson period stuff. Paul Samson's quite a bluesy guitarist. He can metal it up at times, but there's always been a slight, very bluesy tinge to Paul Samson as a guitar player. And Nicky Moore has more of a kind of blues-fueled vocal to go with it. Whereas, you know, Bruce Dickinson's admittedly excellent air raid siren wail, kind of, you know, as a Samson vocalist, really didn't cut it for me. You know, I always thought there was a bit of a kind of disconnect between the vocals and the guitar on the early Samson stuff. But then they brought in Nicky Moore when Dickinson left for Maiden, and well, my opinion, the match in heaven was made. This album came out in 1984. Pip Williams production. Guy that did quite a lot of the Status Quo stuff. Kind of guy that can make kind of keep stuff heavy but accessible. Apart from the it's the classic Samson, in my opinion, the classic Samson lineup. Paul Samson on guitar, Chris Thunderstick Almia on drums, Pete Jupp on drums, Chris Almia on bass, Nicky Moore on vocals. Sorry, got mixed up there. And cracking album. Obviously, the standout cut is the title cut, with its kind of dum 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 rhythm. Talking about don't get mad, get even. That's what my father said. Just brilliant song. Other highlights: The Fight Goes On, Are You Ready, Front Page News, Dr. Ice, Bite the Bullet, Into the Valley. Every track's a bit of a classic. Paul Samson, the late great Paul Samson, does some fantastic guitar work on here. I say Nicky Moore's vocal is probably some of his best work, and considering the guy's done a lot of really good stuff, that's with various bands, that's saying something. Just an album that I love, album that I recommend, and if you've never really explored Samson's back catalogue and you want to hear the kind of non-Dickinson stuff, this is the place I recommend you start. 1984, Don't Get Mad, Get Even by Samson. Okay, next up, well, that's something that's quite rare in my collection. There's the front. This is Set the Skies Ablaze by The Jam. There's the front. There's the back. Whoop, disc has just fallen out. And I know that some of you are now scratching your head, going, what? What's this? I've heard of a Jam album called Set the Skies Ablaze. Well, you won't, because it's a bootleg. Just something that someone put together, and now I can't remember whether someone gave me this or I found this in a charity shop. But so like 1995, this was assembled, and it's from a gig recorded at the, I think it was Reading University, 1980, November 1980. Not sure. I think it was Reading University. I may be wrong. If I am wrong, and you know, let me know. But anyway, I don't normally collect bootlegs. Now, I'm not anti-bootleg because, I think a lot of the time, my own bands have been bootlegged in the past, and we quite embrace the fact that someone's like to record what we've done and put it out. Providing that you're not making money from it, then I can't really see the harm, because the sort of people that will go after stuff like this. I mean, I've got most of the Jam albums anyway. Hence the reason why Mate gave me this, or I picked it up, because it goes with my Jam collection. It's not going to stop me buying any more Jam releases should there be any interesting reissues come out, or the Jam reform and put a new album out. And it's a pretty damn good live set that, in my opinion, if it's it's good enough for the Jam to have released in their own right. It's the full gig, 22 tracks, and it runs down some of the Jam's classic stuff. I mean, Dreamtime, Thick as Thieves, Going Underground, The Man in the Corner Shot, Set the House Ablaze, But I'm Different Now, When You're Young in the City, David Watts, Eaton Rifles. Fantastic closing version. Down the tube station at midnight. Really good. There are a couple of kind of bootleg archive sites on the internet where you can download lists for free, so there's no kind of money's changing hands defrauding either the Jam or any record label of their readies. And it's worth checking out because it's a damn fine set, and I struggle to understand why the Jam haven't really, because quite a lot of bands, if there's a good bootleg floating around with really good quality, because this is taken from the mixing desk, will release it. And I honestly don't understand why the Jam haven't got their hands on this, or Jam management, or Paul Weller, or any members of the Jam kind of actually banged this out as an official release, because it's a cracking performance. Yeah, bootlegged Jam, Set the Skies Ablaze. Good album, very good live album. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of this, a bit obscure. Organised Insanity by a band called Blurred Vision. There's the front. (2014) this came out. There's the back. If I open this up, there's not much else in here apart from the gatefold sleeve. Oh, there's the band themselves hiding behind the CD disc. Now, I came across Blurred Vision. Well, around about the time this album came out, 2014, I had the great privilege of going along to a gig to interview Uriah Heep. Spent quite a pleasant time in the presence of the band, chatting with them, and then obviously hung around for the gig to review the gig afterwards. And this lot were the support band. And they were pretty damn good. The three-piece kind of hard-edged prog rock band, that's the best way of describing it. And the band's history is really interesting. They're two brothers, Sepp and Sol Osley, I think they're Iranian. We're kind of Iranian exiles that moved to Canada. They originally formed the band in Iran, although the kind of at the time, you know, Iran's a sort of like a relationship with Western music is a bit like horse knickers. They're on off, on off, on off, and you know, so they basically got sick and tired of the kind of they sort of asylum basically in Canada, where they were joined by Ben Riley, the drummer, and Yoel Lightman, who's their kind of regular session keyboard player who tours with them and that. And basically, Blurred Vision were born. Now, this is their first full-length album. I do believe there's an EP that came out after this, and there's a couple of subsequent albums, because I've got one other. I think there's a couple others as well. But this is pretty damn good. The opening cut, it's quite hippie. It's not heavy prog. It's kind of very accessible, almost like poppy in places. I suppose it reminds me a bit like It Bites. If you're into that kind of prog rock, this will be right up your street. You know, highlights include the opening cut, No More Wars, Organised Insanity, the title cut and closer, bit of an epic cut. Long May You Run. The Keeper is my favourite cut on the album. Sort of like really kind of spine-sinking, sort of deep, insightful lyrics, etc. Overall, highly recommended. Again, maybe one that you might need a bit of work to track down, because, you know, they're an obscure band, but, you know, I like the obscure, you know, digging through kind of to try and find some, sorry, I think the screen there. Yeah, sort of like trying to find some, you know, digging through trying to find the gems, and this is one of them. Yeah, Blurred Vision, Organised Insanity, 2014. Sort of like part Canadian, part Iranian kind of prog rock. Good stuff. Okay, next up, go back to vinyl. Yeah, so I'm just checking that on the. Yeah, so I thought I've discounted on getting me records out, but I haven't. There we go. This is Bad Attitude by Jezebelle. 1990 this was. So there's the front. There's the back. No inner sleeve or anything. That way. Heavy metal records. classic 80s label. And yeah, what can I say about Jezebelle? I believe they were London based. I may be wrong, but I believe this lot came out of London. 4-piece, all girl, all metal biker rock band. For a brief time, about 1989, 1990, these were seen as the kind of natural successors to Girl School. And, you know, and believe me, I saw Jezebelle live, and they were, you know, although the Girl School comparisons must be mentioned, Girl School were never this heavy. I mean, Girl School could motorhead it up a bit, but these girls had a kind of a couple of extra pounds on their heaviness dial. They were extremely heavy. They were very much in your face. Almost had like a kind of punky, almost like dump your rusty nuts attitude to the audience. Most of them were heavily tattooed. People would shout, "Get your tats out," and they'll roll their sleeves up and flash their tattoos at the audience. Definitely not a band that could, you know, definitely not a girly band. These were definitely kind of motorbiking, in your face, you know, drink you under the table type lasses. Never actually met, I saw them live, but never actually got the chance to actually meet them, which is a shame, because I'd love to have had a conversation, but I wasn't doing the rock journalism and that kind of thing. I've got to admit, maybe I found them a little bit scary. But anyway, this, as far as I'm aware, is their only album. They did a couple of singles as well, because I do possess this on CD as well. It's got some bonus sort of singles added on the end, or some sort of non-album cuts or demos or whatever it is. But you know, as far as I'm aware, this was their one and only studio album. I'll address the elephant in the room. This is the cover. Now, whether this is one of the worst album covers of all time, or I don't know. It is definitely someone's made with a felt tip pen. Front artwork, John Bryson. Yeah, I don't know who John Bryson is, but you know, he obviously broke out his Sharpies for that. But on the other hand, it's got a kind of almost like punky naivety, which sums up the attitude of the band. And it's one of these ones, I was saying this to me missus the other day, the more you look at it, there's little details in it that you kind of go, I never noticed that before. And I've had this album 30 odd years, and even now I'm picking up bits on the cover that I just didn't realise there was a bloody motorbike parked in the corner. But anyway, love it or hate it, that's the cover they're stuck with. As far as kind of the music's concerned, like I said, it's very much kind of, it's a lot heavier than Girl School. It's very much kind of post Motorhead kind of like rip and bludgeon type stuff. They got some cracking tracks on here. The opening cut, "I Ain't No Lady," which is the kind of band's theme song, kind of, you know, basically it lays out, "Don't mess with us." Satisfaction Guaranteed, Scandal, Travel on Gypsy, Burn. Song after song on this is winners. It's kind of very headbangable. I'll admit, when it comes to this particular album, the production lets it down a bit, and really, you know, but it does almost manage to capture the kind of vibe these girls had live. And I said live, they were very, very impressive. Yeah, H. Stewart, the vocalist, you know, whiskey sodden kind of metal-esque Janis Joplin. TC and Maggot Simpson, the rhythm section, know how to rock up the thunder, and Zaz Richards, the guitarist, you know, superb player. But anyway, I don't know whatever happened to them. This album came out and they vanished off the live circuit pretty soon afterwards. So, you know, I don't know. If anyone can tell me what happened to Jezebelle or members thereof, please put a note in the comments, because I'm interested. But anyway, worth one that, if you're into your metal, anyway, not quite sort of just after anyway the British heavy metal period, but well worth checking out. Yeah, Jezebelle, Bad Attitude, 1990. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of punk. And there we go, there's the front. There's the back. This is Infected by Blatoidea. I think 2010. I'm not sure. Anyway, there's the disc. Booklet, thus. Well, actually it's not a booklet, it's a fold out thing. Yeah, folds out thusly and thusly. And if you want to see what Blatoidea look like, there's a picture. I'm looking very punk rock indeed, and rather cool for it. Now, Blatoidea are a London kind of sort of like, yeah, definitely a punk band. What subgenre of punk? I don't know. There's heavy kind of sort of like shades of the Exploited in this, shades of kind of D-beat bands like sort of like Discharge, etc. Shades of kind of almost like shades of hardcore, you know, bits of, especially some of the American hardcore bands like the Cryme in here. It's very heavy, it's very in your face, it's just everything a great punk album should be. It's angry, it's nasty, it's loud, it's got that kind of socio-political kind of anger. That's the hallmarks of all good punk. It kicks off the title cut, Infected, and then just kind of bounces on, punching you in your face with track after track. And let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 12 songs on here. You know, hard to pick a favourite because they're all pretty damn fine. If I had to kind of drag just one out, I'll go for a track called Holy War. Yeah, but overall, just fine stuff. So the vocals are kind of delivered with so much anger and kind of angst and justifiable rage that kind of it demands that you listen to them. The rest of the band just got this kind of pent up sonic fury that they kind of rip your ears open with. Yeah, one of my favourite contemporary punk albums. I've got a couple of Blatoidea's other ones as well, which may come out at some point. But if you please do yourself, if you like a bit of punk, do yourself a favour, explore some Blatoidea, and this is a good place to start. Yeah, Infected, I think it's 2010. Sorry, but I may be wrong on that. Okay, next up, as different from Blatoidea as you can possibly get, let's have some prog rock of the classic type. There's the front. This is, of course, Nursery Cryme by Genesis. There's the back. There is the inner sleeve with the lyrics and the credits and everything on here. Yeah, 1971, I believe this came out. I'll try to have a look on the sleeve. 1971, there we are. And those of you that are interested in such things, Charisma Pink. Maybe this is an early pressing, not a reissue. But anyway, now when I think of 70s prog rock, you know, of all the albums that you can think of, you know, the works of like Vanderbilt Generator, Yes, King Crimson, Green Slade or whatever, but the one album that immediately comes to my mind is this. To me, Genesis's Nursery Cryme is the seminal 70s prog album. It's got everything that's good about 70s prog and everything that's bad as well. You know, it's got the kind of, it's masterfully played. This is a band that kind of it's the classic Peter Gabriel lineup. It's the first one with Phil Collins on drums, and it kind of, it's Steve Hackett on guitar, Tony Kaye on keyboards, and Mike Rutherford on bass. It's, this is a band that's finding their feet, probably taking some illegal substances and wanting to experiment with what comes out the other end. What you've got here, from the opening cut musical box, well, let's see, first of all, you've got musical box, 10.5 minutes of kind of a nursery rhyme horror story of ghostly heads coming out of musical boxes and terrorising Victorian children. Harold the Barrel, which is a rather twisted kind of tale, about Harold the Barrel cut off his toes and served them up for tea. Various people kind of singing, various members of the band kind of doing like Gilbert and Sullivan operetta with each other. Seven Stones, which is like probably my favourite cut on, my second favourite cut on the album. Just remember what's coming on the second side. Sweet Little for Absent Friends. I'll leave Fountain of Samalicus for a minute. The Close of Harlequin, and then my favourite Genesis cut from the Peter Gabriel period, the fantastic Return of the Giant Hogweed, with its dum 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 dum. Fantastic kind of Tony Banks kind of Hammond organ riffing, and Peter Gabriel's vocals and their spine singling. On the other hand, it does contain Fountain of Samalicus. Apologise to those of you that like that track, but I think it's the point on this album where they do disparate their own backsides. It's based on Greek mythology. I'm not really into Greek mythology, off of early Viking stuff, but it's a fun album that does occasionally take itself a bit too seriously. It's immaculately and cleverly played, that just on occasions disappears up its own self-indulgent backside. But overall, there's more going for it than against it. It's still one of the Genesis albums I come back to for personal favourite listening pleasure. It's one that I can stick on late at night whilst reading a book and just kind of enjoy. Love the artwork. Got that kind of twisted kind of thing that Genesis had back loads. This is small girls playing croquet, mallets playing croquet with severed heads, and just really, really good stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to say it's a perfect album. There are certain parts of it that do annoy me, but overall, my favourite Genesis album, and one that I recommend to anybody. Nursery Cryme, 1971. Okay, next up, the final CD before we hit the final vinyl. And here we go, there's the front. This is Young for Eternity by the Subways. There's the front. And when did this one come out? He says trying to look. Oh, I don't know. So 2005, 2006, around about then. Correct me if I'm wrong, but anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Pop this open. "2005", I was right there. There's the disc, there's the artwork behind the disc. There's the disc itself. Better look at the cover there. Again, fold out sleeve. There's the Subways. There's the lyrics. There's the picture of the individual pictures of the band. Now, those of you who don't know, Subways, I think they were London, but I've got a little voice in my head saying they're originally out of Nottingham that relocated to London. But I'll say London for now. Again, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but sort of like indie pop punk alternative rock band in that kind of general vein. They don't really fit easily into any of those particular categories. They're a bit too lightweight to be pure punk, but they're too punky to be pop. They're too indie to be alternative, but they're too alternative to be indie. Kind of got a nice little niche for themselves going there at the time, yeah, for themselves. And they're a band that I do like. I've got a few albums by the Subways, and you know, I find them just very much engaging. I find them a fun listen. They're kind of you know, an engaging listen, and they're very good at what they do. Yeah, female, and also I'm a sucker for, you know, as you said with Suzi Quatro, I'm a sucker for a female singer bass player. I think it's just a combination that works really well, and the Subways have one. This is probably one of their better known albums. It contains sort of like 3/4 of their big hits. Was it Rock and Roll Queen, 1am and Oh Yeah? But this is an album that's kind of got quite a lot of depth to it. It's kind of, see, it also contains tracks like, well, the title cut Young Fraternity is quite a good one. Then there's City Pavement, No Goodbyes, She Sun, Lines of Light. Just, yeah, I don't think there's really a weak moment on this record. It's just a really good kind of accessible, kind of punky indie alternative poppy record. Yeah, I find, yeah, I spin it quite regularly. Yeah, I pick tracks off this more radio shows quite regularly, just for the hell of it. And yeah, and it's one of these records when people go, it's the, you know, band that kind of a lot of rockers kind of haven't really paid that much attention until you point them out to them, and then, you know, quite a lot of them, they become their a guilty pleasure band. And I hope that if you're into your metal and you want to give them a listen, they might become yours as well, because they're a talented bunch of musicians that can write some really infectious, catchy kind of pop rock numbers that kind of, you know, deserve to be hailed as for what they are, as in good, rather than kind of just a pop band. So, yeah, Subways, Young Fraternity, 2005. Go check it out. Leaves us with the final one. Ties in with what I'm currently reading at the moment. I'm currently reading a book called Confess by Mr. Rob Halford, his autobiography. Thanks to my mate Paddy, who gave it to me for Christmas. It was a really pleasant surprise, mate, and I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm really loving it. And you know, basically it's Rob Halford going through his kind of life as a member of Judas Priest, his battle with his sexuality, you know, kind of how hard it was to be a gay guy in the 70s and 80s in a metal band. And you know, it's quite a move. It's a fun and funny yet quite moving sort of story. Now, this is Judas Priest's first album. Originally came out in 1974 on Gull Records, although this is an SPI Records reissue. As you can see, it's a picture disc from a French label. I do have a Gull Records standard kind of copy in the rack, but I thought I'd just pop this out because I haven't shown many picture discs on the show, so I thought I'd, you know, make it this one. So there's the front, there's the back, and that's it really. The only album to feature the original Judas Priest drummer John Hirsch, but the rest of the lineup is the classic Priest of Titson, Downing, Halford and Hill. And then when it comes to an album, you know, don't go, you know, I do recommend that you check it out, but don't go listening to it expecting British Steel or Scream for Vengeance or Turbo or Ram It Down. This is Priest finding their feet. There's not much of the twin guitar work on here because Glenn Tipton was brought into the band just before they started recording, and a lot of the material was pre-written. It's got some, it's got its moments on here. The title cut, Rock and Roller, in my opinion, the best cut on the album. Yeah. Run of the Mill, you know, Caviar and Mess is an interesting track. It's kind of a bit bluesy in places. It's a bit kind of tinges of psychedelia. You know, this is a band trying to work out what they want to be. The production is not particularly good. It's more muddy than magnificent. And the band kind of almost seem to be like struggling to kind of get their sound out. However, as a kind of starting point, this makes an interesting record because you can see the seeds of all the elements that would become over the next 10, 20 years, that would become the classic Judas Priest sound. They're all present on here. It's just that they're not very prominent, but they're there. They're the seeds that are beginning to grow. Not much else to say about this, really. Do recommend that you check it out. It's had, oh yeah, we'll point out the rather naff album cover, which kind of the band themselves didn't like even when it came out. And this album has been reissued with several different other covers since. You know, I think that the Rock and Roller bottle top works okay as a picture disc, but when you see it on the big square sleeve, not really. But anyway, wouldn't recommend this as a starting point for Judas Priest fans or people who want to explore the back catalogue of Priest. Although, if you're interested in, if you are into Priest and you haven't heard this album, interested to know where it all began, then this will be, you know, then go check it out. I'll say it's not bad, but it's not classic Priest and it's not brilliant. So yeah, 1974. Although this is 1983 French SPI label reissue, but 1974 the original album came out. Judas Priest, Rock and Roller, not bad. Anyway, that's it for this week. Nice to get back to doing the dozens again, and yeah, don't forget you can leave comments over there on Facebook, down there on YouTube. Hit the like and subscribe because it does kind of spread the word. I'm not here to make money, just here to talk about love of music and, you know, share my love and my record collection with everybody. So I'll be back next week with 12 more, and until then, at least the radio shows are down there and over there as well. So until then, you take care and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.